All right, everybody, welcome back to the show, Surf Splendor, episode 566. Today's guest needs little introduction. Plucked from his local lineup at Narrabeen at the age of 13 to join the world's best surfers for a month in Indonesia. Nathan Hedge lived the pro surf dream during a golden era for professional surfing. The contracts were big, fame and popularity was available because surf magazines were at the peak of their circulation. But all of those perks aside, Hedge got to surf some of the best waves in the world, first on The Search with the Rip Curl team as their premier Grom, and then on the World Tour when he qualified in 2001. Over the years, he put in stellar performances, if inconsistent at times. His best result was 7th place at the end of the year in 2004. And then that year, he actually finished runner-up at both the Chopes event and J-Bay. In a 2017 interview with Surfing World magazine, Hedge admitted, quote, "When I was on tour, it was the Foster's ASP World Tour, and everywhere that it was that town's week to shine. So if you wanted to party, you could party every week, every week of the year. The culture on tour was about how good you could surf after how smashed you got. That's how it was, last man standing. It was fun for 10 to 15 years, but I wasn't surfing as much. I was always hungover, missing surfs, and it didn't do me any favors during those close heats. In the end, that lifestyle took me away from surfing," end quote. Since retiring in 2019 and going through the process of recovery, Nathan is radically invested in his whole body health, and he even re-engaged with competitive surfing, most notably in 2022 when he received a wildcard into the Tahiti Pro, and he took out in inform Jack Robinson in the round of 16 after being comboed with only 9 minutes remaining. He finished that event in the quarterfinals. His latest project incorporates not only his cumulative experiences of surfing, yoga, and diet, but also his extended friend group and his mentors. It's a Tavarua wellness retreat, and it takes place on September 6th through the 13th on Tavarua Island. There's room for 40 guests, and in addition to surf coaching, Tom Carroll will actually be coming to host morning and afternoon meditation and breathing workshops. John Gannon is coming to do physical and mobility training. Augusto Vegas is going to be doing breath holding and stress management training. And then they're going to be doing talk story events through the evenings with John Roseman and potentially also a couple of other pro surfer/boatmen. So if you're interested and available in September, you want to have this one-of-a-kind experience on Tavarua, this is your opportunity. You can book it through tavarua.com. And of course, we'll post a link down below. And before we hear from Nathan, we also owe a thanks to our partners who make Surf Splendor possible. That is, of course, Real Water Sports, Veyer Watches, and the Surfrider Foundation. So Real Water Sports is doing their biggest annual sale right now. They call it the Slash and Burn sale. Up to $900 off surfboards. They have a 1,500 surfboard inventory, so incredible selection of boards with massive discounts. Don't wait. RealWatersports.com. Veyer Watches is our timekeeping partner. I don't wear this one enough, but look at this is a different one than I'm normally got on. We'll save you 15% on an ocean-ready, waterproof guaranteed timepiece by going through VeyerWatches.com/surfsplendor. And of course, the ocean needs more friends now more than ever. So become a member of Surfrider at surfrider.org. Once you do, they'll send you emails with updates on the initiatives that they're involved in. So it's a great way to stay informed. Go to surfrider.org. Okay, my name is David Scales for Surf Splendor, and I am honored to share with you my most recent chat with the great Nathan Hedge. Enjoy.
Surf Splendor.
Here we go. Here we go, brother.
Is that the comp running in the background?
Yeah, you know that. You got it on too, or what?
Of course, I'm keeping it on this whole time.
Fucking Robbo right now.
I hate to tell you, I'm rooting for Barron.
No, that's fair enough. It's all good. I got a soft spot for Barron too, his whole approach and what he does, but
I kind of I kind of prefer Robbo as a surfer, but yeah, Barron, just underdog story is why I'm rooting for Barron.
Nice.
I'll give you a proper intro and post so we can just roll into casual conversation here.
Sweet. But my background, I'm just on the couch watching the comp. I can go somewhere else. I don't have this background. It's very freaking. There's plenty of. I can go sit up at my desk or something better if that's eggy behind.
Stay on the sofa. Honestly, our audience is mainly audio,
Oh, sweet. Okay,
so
cool.
visuals aren't too important.
Well, that's good for a head like mine, eh?
I've got a voice for radio. That's what I've always been told.
I
So
got a
there we
good
go.
head for
Face for
radio.
radio.
Go on.
So I know obviously you've spent time out there. How do more people not get injured? Like when I was watching the first heat this morning and
Yeah.
Miggy went down, I'm like, dude, we're gonna see somebody die today. Like,
Mm.
how do they not get injured?
I think like it's actually quite deep where the wave breaks. So like it's worse down the inside, like after gets shallower down there, but you actually fall in pretty deep water. But I don't
If you
know.
fall on the takeoff.
Yeah. I mean, it's super violent and radical, but yeah, it's a bit mind blowing. More people don't get hurt, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's probably a
Yeah.
testament to the water patrol and all that kind of stuff, rescuing them after the fall too, so you don't get flogged through the inside. But
Yeah, it gets super shallow, like that water that runs down, it gets like undulated and shallow down there. So you're better off going in and getting blown over the reef, or like guys are picked up on now, like taking your leash off and just swimming under and getting straight back out. Otherwise, got to do a lap around, you know?
I had never heard that until Coyote said that.
Yeah, it's way better. You just like, even if you don't, you haven't lost your board, just let it go if you're like sketchy in there, you know, so you can just swim back out. Because it takes like, I don't know, 3 minutes or 3.5 minutes to go right around and get back out there.
I mean, if you come up off a wave and your leash is pulling you back,
Yeah,
those, even if it's just 5 or 6 seconds, those are critical seconds. So yeah, if you could just save
exactly.
that, yeah,
'Cause they're so like close behind the wave behind you. Just, yeah, that 5, 6 seconds, like you said, just fucking,
two
yeah,
seconds,
stressful.
yeah,
Rather than just like boom and swim back out and get under, like that feels pretty good, right?
totally.
Have three
Um,
or four boards in the channel.
exactly. So
Yeah,
we can't have this comp running without discussing your wildcard run in
oh,
2022. Was that your
sick.
best? I mean, that was the best story of the year, especially that one heat against Jack. But was that your best competitive memory?
I think so, given that that moment was against Jack, who's clearly, one of the best, if not the best guy out there in that moment, and coming back after being in the final there like 20 years ago, 20 years earlier, like everything that I've been through, to be back on that main stage, like all things considered, that was rad, you know. Obviously, I've had other 10-point rides out there and some other key high moments, but I think given it was 2022, I was a 43-year-old wild card. Comboed with 7 minutes to go to come back in that fashion, it probably has to be. I think I was chatting to like having a bit of a laugh the other day. It's like on my headstone, I got to beat Kelly once, and I got to beat Jack at Chopu once. So I feel like that's career wise, that's I can smile about those ones. Those guys got me a lot of other times, but those two key moments, Kelly at J Bay and Jack at Tahiti, I can be happy.
Good for you. I
Yeah.
remember vividly watching that heat. I could tell you exactly where I was. I had a newborn at the time. I took the newborn for a
Nice.
walk afterwards and was on the phone chatting with people, with my
Mm,
buddy, and I was like, "Dude, did you watch that? That
yeah,
was unbelievable." It was
yeah,
crazy.
sick moment because I had because Jack went around the back of me too at the start of the heat, like kind of like he did with Baron Mamiya then, like more critical than that, but because Kelly and Connor O'Leary in the non-priority heat, and then or with priority, me and Jack were there, and they didn't want to go it, and then this deep one come, I was sitting the deepest, and then Jack just went straight around the back of me last minute, knifed him behind me. I was like, whoa, got a 7.7, and Kelly looks over me and goes, "Gave him too much room, Hog. Gave him too much room." And I was like, fuck, I can't believe that just happened. But then it like fired me up. I kind of got pissed off, which is like, it's kind of like an ideal state of like, do my best surfing, not tipped over to like counterproductive, but just this ideal kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like poking the bear kind of anger, like fires me up. And then that was the ideal state to be in on young because I just need to be on the biggest, best ones now. And so yeah, it kind of like did me a favor at the same time.
I mean, the one that you turned the heat on, the first wave.
Mm,
Can you walk me through that? Because it didn't look like you were in an ideal position for that wave. Like you would have wanted to have been kind of further up the reef, I would think.
mm.
What
It wasn't so much further up the reef. It was just like, I know my back was against the wall. I didn't really have like time constraints. Like, it was kind of like willing to go to any length by that stage. Like, where we would normally see in the like law of averages where to sit to make the better waves for that day. Most of the excellent scores were to the southwest bit. There was like a handful of really good waves there in the heat all day. But when those south ones come up the top, you can see them come from a fair way away. So I kind of bolted up there and Jack followed me. And I just knew, like, being comboed with like 7 minutes to go, I had to do something. Knowing those ones are so much more critical up there and shallow. It's kind of been one of my assets and strengths is like that late drop. And then in and under, like my other really high scores, it's a real technical kind of thing. Not that I was planning on having things come that late and that critical, but it has been a way to get massive scores. That's a point of difference that, if you can do it, if you pull it off, it sort of warrants a massive score because it is so technical. So yeah, just bolted up there, and Jack was hot on my heels too. If I didn't go, I knew he was going to. So it was just kind of like, yeah, eyes roll back in that moment. It's some of my best waves in my heats because you don't really have a choice. It takes you to a different place, and you have to front up and be taken to that edge every time. So I don't know if that really one that I chased up there in a free surf but being in that moment, that's what I'm really, really grateful to have the rash vest on out there because it just, yeah, what it demands of you. And when you've got priority and you have to go and you're in a situation where the clock's running down or there's scenarios playing out, yeah, you really kind of have to dig deep and have a crack. So yeah, it's awesome.
That's a good point. Talking a lot on the podcast, I often kind of criticize when the WSL is not running in waves of consequence, basically.
Yeah,
I feel like we're witnessing some of the best surfing happening elsewhere, not on tour. But
yeah.
but to your point, when it is consequential, it does feel like it pushes things past a certain, it does progress surfing.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. What plays out goes beyond the normal realms, and I mean, some maniacs that do it in the free stuff. I think we saw the level go exponential the last couple of days over there in
Totally.
Tahiti. Sort of all there outdoing each other though. It's kind of like the comp before the comp, right? It felt like
Yeah.
everyone wanted that wave of the day. Had everybody the whole tour not been there, would the level have pushed so high? Maybe the Tahitian guys would still be doing it, but I beg to differ that possibly. Everyone's level. The fact that Griffin was doing that, the fact that Cleveland, like other maniacs doing what they were doing, like that's byproduct of everyone being out in the water, pushing each other collectively, wanting to elevate and be the be the alpha in that moment. It's pretty sick.
Uh, well, with your 2022 wildcard run there, that was the first time I saw you with the Outerknown, sticker
Mm.
on your board. How did that partnership develop? Was that directly from Kelly, or do you have somebody in the company advocating for you?
Yeah, I've been doing some work, some guiding for some of the part owners of the company, and
Okay.
just got a really good relationship with them. And I really love the gear, and it was kind of like a really good fit for where I'm at. No logos and really nice gear. I'm mid to late 40s, and it was just, yeah, really nice gear. So it worked out like that, and um, yeah, I think just the way things played out for the event, there was three people had to pull out, so it was never a given. It was like Medina, John, and somebody else. I forget that person, but the sponsors Wildcard only got a shot if those two scenarios played out. So we just didn't know because John was sailing somewhere. He might have just sailed right into the pit like he does, and didn't know if Gabby was going to come back because he was kind of like posting stuff about him training and getting back from injury. So I was like, we just don't know. So it was just right place, right time, and yeah, super fortunate to get the opportunity for Outerknown to put my name forward for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was rad experience.
It was a great pick for them too. I mean, I feel like Kelly was the only one who had the sticker on his board, and I feel like you were the second.
Mm,
We've seen a couple now, but I thought that was like such a savvy move. And then you delivering on the performance validated
mm.
the move for them. So
I appreciate that.
yeah, it was sick. Um, 10 years ago, would you ever have envisioned a career as a wellness guru?
Wow, maybe 10 years ago might be a bit early, like 15 years ago, definitely not. My life was very different 15 years ago. I had some growing up to do and some lessons to yeah, just some life lessons to get through. So no, probably not. I think stepping into this space and owning it and just walking the talk and realizing, hey, I can do this. I'm built experience and some runs on the board and kind of roundabout way doing it in a sense for other people. I realized, well, um, in any situation, it's how I live my life is by backing myself, and whether that's in the heat or a wave coming through in Tahiti or anything back to the wall, I back myself. So I figure I've just got to apply that same principles and who I am to this and give it a crack. So yeah.
When you say in a roundabout way, you've been doing it for other people. What do you mean by that?
Facilitating wellness experiences and giving them a good time and making
I
sure
see.
that they're safe, that they're being pushed and they're growing and evolving and excuse me, they're having a good time, you know. And I guess what makes me really happy is doing healthy things with my friends and celebrating life and yeah, being fit and healthy. And so when I see people like Tom Carroll and Shane Dorian and even Kelly, like guys that are 10, 15, 20 years older than me that are still pushing the limits and living a crazy healthy life and still in the water. And that's really inspiring for me. So I get motivation from that. And I feel like if I can facilitate that for other people, that would be the dream, you know. And I think I'm finding as I'm getting more mature, like it used to be about getting waves on my own and chasing things and that, but now it's about sharing in those moments with close friends or buddies, and that's like gives me the biggest joy. So just trying to kind of bring it all together.
I'm glad to hear you say that because literally preparing for this, I had the same exact thought, which was I've interviewed a lot of people and I've noticed a common denominator of service of others instead of
Mm,
serving oneself is a key indicator of happiness basically. Like for some reason if you're focusing on other people, you tend to treat yourself better. you know and in our early phases of life when we're really focused on ourselves, for some reason we don't treat ourselves very good. So there is something there to being in service.
yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I'm working at Surfing Australia at the moment. It's a new position all the start of this year. The year's getting on a bit. It's 6 or 7 months in. But prior to that, I worked out, okay, what I want to do. And I'd worked out clearly that I feel really good when I'm doing something for someone else. When I make it about me, things can get kind of sticky and murky and just doesn't feel like, yes, I've got to make a business out. I've got to put food on the table for me and my daughter. But getting clear in my values and my ethos and what I want to do, it's like, okay, I haven't got it all worked out, but I've worked out being of service, giving back some way, shape, or form through my life experience and what what I've come through and the adversity I've overcome. How do I create something with that between the surf and adversity, resilience, grit, and what's that look like? So it would certainly be a waste. Like a part of me is like, I'm going to do something outside of the surf industry because there's so much more to me, and I can grow and evolve in different areas. It doesn't have to be focused solely intently around the ocean or surfing. Stay open kind of mindset, but at the same time, I was like, it would be such a waste to not impart the knowledge and experience to the youth and generations coming through.
Totally.
Potentially some of the gaps in my journey where the duty of care or the mentors, just the circles that I was playing in sort of weren't there and, for well-being and yeah, the duty of care, it was just a different time. So I figure, hey, this is a way that I can make a difference in people's lives. I'll feel good about it. Keeps me in the ocean, fit and healthy. And what an example for my daughter too, that she can see, hey, here's dad who celebrates life, um, his passion, helping people, role model, kind of, mapping just like a sponge, seeing what dad does. So it all ties into that for me as well, and the person I want to be and what kind of a legacy. And yeah, because like we started this conversation at 10, 15 years ago, it wasn't wasn't as pretty. I was making some pretty shitty decisions. So yeah, it's good to kind of give back now and try to help other people, which then in turn helps me. So it's a
I
two-way
know.
street, really.
Well, talking about duty of care is an interesting phrase, interesting way to put it. But I think of your era that you grew up in Narrabeen
Mm.
as being
Yeah.
pretty heavy, not only with pro surf talent, but also with localism. Is that accurate? And do you view that kind of era as being good for you, or do you view it as being problematic?
I think growing up at Narrabeen and coming through the 90s kind of hardcore phase there in Northern Beaches and on the tour and what guys were doing on the tour and at that time, I think it had pros and cons. There was full on assets and positives to it, but at the same time, there was probably equally areas of the tour that I'm glad don't exist anymore. Um, I think it was good that the level that you got pushed at, and I think kind of you had to earn your keep, and nothing was given, and just the mentality around like Narrabeen paddling out, the depth of talent was so competitive that you had to be so hungry and you had to be an animal to find your place in the lineup, which I think really served me well. Getting on the tour and being from Narrabeen and having to have that intent and passion for it was dog eat dog out there. So I think that really helped. But at the same time, those days were kind of more like how hard you could party and then still surf, and um, who could stay up the latest and party the hardest. And just, it was just a different time. The people that I was on the tour with and the people I looked up to were doing that. So it was just kind of like I wanted to be like them. And yeah, it's different now.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think my situation, I don't think I grew up in Southern California, like Orange County, Huntington Beach area. So
Mm,
not nearly as localized as your era, I don't think. And also probably not the same level of talent either. So it was a tamer version, but even still, I look back on it generally favorably. Like, oh,
mm,
kids are too soft nowadays. They need a little bit more discipline. But just in recent years, I've been thinking, I know so many guys whose lives spun out, and maybe as a result of some of that treatment, like there's a possibility they were carrying trauma from their childhood,
yeah,
as a direct result of the way that things, just the culture was. And so you're
yeah.
right, there's pros and cons, but I think I kind of overvalued the pros before. Now I'm recognizing the cons may be more consequential than I thought.
Yeah, there's definitely be a direct link there to, a lot of people spun out, and I had to look around and just not too many people have come through the other side, and so many names. You look down the list of who you're hanging out with at that time. You go, I wonder whatever happened to them, or people that were on the tour. Between the pressures of competitive surfing and everything else that goes with it, it's a tricky, like slippery slope too, because surfing is like when you're doing well in that competitive environment and the endorsement setup that it is, you have this false sense of identity that when you're doing good and everyone's around you and you're getting slapped on the back and it's great and contracts reflect that, and you're in the spotlight and stuff, and then as soon as you don't have a good year, you just like evaporate and get dropped like a hot potato quicker than anything, and self-worth and where you belong and who you are and self-esteem, all these things come up. That was my experience anyways. Getting
Gotcha.
endorsed by Rip Curl for like 17 years and been through the search and being that kid, and then your family and group on the tour too. You travel with these people, so they are your traveling family, and no longer traveling with them and trying to find your place, and then contracts get ripped up, and you just like got to be so grounded and assured of yourself and know who you are in that moment, to come out the other side of that and have the resilience. It's tricky, and so many people, if you don't have the right support network in place, or family and loved ones, or coping mechanisms or tools, um, fuck, good luck. It's tough, and it transfers to a lot of other sports, but surfing the brands are kind of. I mean, we used to party with the Rip Curl bosses and owners, and not so much the owners, but just everyone who's involved. And it's just it's a different time now, which I'm glad.
How old were you? when that rip curl opportunity presented yourself, and who presented the opportunity? Was Derek running the team then?
Derek Hynd, yep. Super eccentric, creative, amazing for the search. So many positives. I grew up quick under Derek's leadership. Um, I was 13.
Okay.
I was 13. I don't know if you remember the early search videos where they videoed me. Sonny Miller videoed me coming in getting homework. They asked my teacher, "Hey, look, we on that little mock up thing where we walked in and asked if I could take some homework away." And they filmed that, and I was in year 7. I know over in the States, is that freshman or something, or what is it? Sophomore?
It
What is it?
Yeah, I mean, in America, it's called middle school. It's not even high
Middle
school yet.
school. I'm in middle school. Yeah, 13. And I was going on my first trip. Remember, Dad at Narrabeen, we got the phone call. Derek Hynd's like, "Yeah, Nathan, want Nathan to go." I was 13. I was 28 days on the search boat. And we went from the bottom of the men's chain right up to top under Aceh. It was 28 days on the boat, and it was just like, wow. Curran, Davo, Powley, Poncho Sullivan, Damien Hardman, Shane Powell. Like, it was radical 28 days. I learned so much, like having to learn those wave profiles and try new boards. And like, we're working out now, like the value of strikes for the athletes to actually, when they get on tour, to have the exposure to those waves. So I realized looking back, hey, I was doing that without even knowing. And so by the time
Mm.
I got on the tour, I was set up like amazing. But yeah, it was pretty young to be say goodbye to mum and dad at customs and kind of head off to this boat in the care of these other guys. 28 days. Sunny was amazing. But yeah, I was just thrust into it full on head on. So yeah, I,
Did
I
your
grew
pa-
up quick.
what was your parents what were their thoughts on it? Were they happy for the opportunity for you? Did they have expectations for you to come back and go to school? Like, did they see a
No,
career in
dad,
surfing?
dad was pumped. We was like grew up at Narrabeen there, and it was all amazing. It was a big celebration. Yeah, it was just fully celebrated, fully supported, no pressure in any ways. It was just all going good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I also I don't know how quickly this came into play, but I read something at some point about your relationship with Derek. He was making you ride like 9 foot boards at J
Mm.
Bay, wouldn't let you ride the short board. Can you tell me some about that mentorship?
Yeah, he there was a lot to it. That particular year to J Bay, because he had his house on the point at J Bay, or halfway down the point, and it was this crazy rock walled house that was sort of had the shielded from the trade wind and had these like tunnels that you'd sleep in that looked out at the lineup. So you like it was like the windows would look out into the lineup, but they were like underneath the roads, the huge like sewer pipes. He'd gotten some of them. It made these crazy little cubbies out of it, so you had to sleep in these little tubes looking out at the lineup, which was rad.
Not in the house, but outdoors under the road?
In the house, but kind of like concrete in and rock walled up and like crazy,
Okay.
like part of the landscape. It was a rad design. I
Interesting.
don't know if that was where the Grom slept or worked you out, but that's kind of where I slept. And then I bought my normal board. So I was sponsored by Aloha at the time, and I bought all these short boards, and the board bag stayed zipped closed because it was like Derek's mentorship that he wanted me to surf here, the Tom Parishes and these other longer boards. Like I think I started on an 8.8 and had to work my way down before he let me surfing in my regular short boards. But before that, it started well before the board bag and getting to J Bay, because we landed in Johannesburg, and I'm like, I think 15 at this time now. I don't have my legit license in Australia yet. And Derek's we land, and Derek's like, "Hey, I got this old Mercedes that a mechanic's been helping me fix up, and I bought it, and I want to get it down to J Bay." We're in Joburg, and so there's a legit hire car that he hires, this Toyota Corolla thing, this little hire car, and then we've got to go get Derek's Mercedes Benz thing that he's had some work done on, and he makes me drive behind him in the hire car in case the Merc breaks down. So we're like, and we drive the whole way to J Bay through the night and everything. He's like, just stay behind me, don't speed under the overpasses, stay behind me, don't overtake me. We're going. And I'm like, fuck, okay. I don't even know how long it was. 15 hour. It was a crazy drive. And yeah, I just remember getting into Port Elizabeth and seeing like, fuck, we're near the beach now because it was like the sea salt started to get on the windscreen. And I'm like, thank fuck, like we're getting near the ocean. Like it was crazy. We drove the
That is
whole way
crazy.
down to J Bay from Joburg. What's you know what I mean? And yeah, so it's just like, but then in saying that, like by the time I got to Europe and started doing the tour and hiring cars and driving around and navigating, it was a piece of piss. You know, it was easy.
Right.
So like he had some really good points, and worldly kind of knowledge, and yeah, he had some good vision in that respect, and it all worked out. Um,
I think he had
another
faith.
time
I
in
think he
Rhode
had.
Island, I had to take a hire car back in Rhode Island. Is like because we surfed that Ruggles wave. Curran
Mhm.
was over there, and we were in over there, and again, I don't have my license. There's this huge Toyota Explorer. We didn't even have them in Oz yet, and on a different side of the road. Derek's like, he had a flight the day before me. And so I had to drop him off at the airport. He's like, just take the hire car back tomorrow. And I just remember going, wow, like I'm on the other side of the road. I'm in this huge car. I don't actually have a license and I'm going to take this hire car back tomorrow. Like, but it was just, that's how it was. Like, didn't even think twice about it. And we got it done.
Yeah.
But
I
imagine
think,
doing that now.
dude, no way. He'd lose his job, first of all, nowadays. But I think he probably also had faith in you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he
True.
knew like if you could pass this test, it means you're ready kind of to go to the next test, basically. And what we're really aiming for is a world tour and winning events and stuff like that. So this
Yeah.
is all important.
Yeah. He had the vision, and yeah, he obviously entrusted me with that. And so I was probably pretty mature by then too, in some ways.
Yeah, and there's
Um,
other kids who didn't pass that test, I'm sure, you know.
Yeah, I bet for sure.
With the boards specifically, what was his ambition there and did it actually work? Was it beneficial?
Yeah, I think he wanted to have some fun. Like he kind of saw me as like he wanted to try to get me to surf like Ock, because Ock was kind of a big inspiration for me, and he'd seen some parts of me that were similar in some respects, and so he wanted to try to embody that and bring that to the table. And I just remember him coming into Aloha factory, and we tried all sorts of different board designs, but I do remember specifically having like boards that had splayed out side fins, but with a really big back fin, just trying to get drive and power, and just different tweaks like that, and longer boards, having to force to use the rail rather than shorter boards. But yeah, I remember a lot of work with the fins.
Okay.
Um, yeah, that was one of the big main focuses, and different rails, like some little square rails, and just a whole bunch of things that I just take on the search trips and just try to surf them and see how give feedback, and just see how it worked for my surfing, and some different looks in different turns, and what I could achieve riding them. And yeah, so it was an awesome institute of surfing and equipment, and having to kind of get a feel for things.
In hindsight, did it benefit your progression?
I think so for sure. Had I just stayed on normal carbon copy, different change any equipment, I don't think that would have progressed as fast as what I did. The combination of going to all these new waves around the world, having to understand and read lineups, paddling out into lineups, surfing with that depth of talent, and guys that winning world titles right through to real eccentric free surfer guys like Frankie Oberholzer and Boris Letexier, and um, Poncho Sullivan too was one of the world's best free surfers before he dug in and started competing. So like these are the guys that I was traveling and surfing with. Shane Powell too right then. So um, yeah, it just forced me to elevate and to work things out, and um, just be immersed in that environment was just so good for my surfing. But by the time I made the tour, I was pretty much ready to go. I could ride longer boards. I knew about surfing good waves. Probably struggled a bit when the surf was average. Just a combination of growing up at Narrabeen and not really groveling on the tour. I sort of hadn't competed much. I was doing the tour more, and doing the search trips more, surfing really good waves. And then when I finished school and I was 18, then I did the WQS and then got on the tour in my third year. So some other guys had a different path and journey, but I finished school and was doing all the search things, and I think looking back, that was amazing. But I kind of had a real, like my 6 years on the tour, I got right to the top a couple of years, and then the carpet kind of pulled out and had some growing up to do. So there's like different ways of looking at it.
Well, did you ever consider not competing and just doing the search thing?
Nah, competitive animal. I love it. I just love the what it brings out of me and putting the pieces of the puzzle together in a heat. It's nothing really else in my life does that for me. I love that feeling when it comes together, and yeah, it's a big part of what I love about surfing is being in the rash fest. So yeah, I think I was always wanted to compete.
When you so you qualified in 2001, but you were also talking earlier about the culture of the tour at the time, which is kind of, you know, last man standing was kind of the
Mm.
culture. Party as hard as you can, and then if you can wake up and make your heat, that was the goal. Um, but I feel there was also around that era a shift where that was the previous culture, but there were a couple of guys who were riding straight and narrow. Certainly Kelly's probably the best example, and then Mick shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on that? And as it specifically relates to your later kind of recovery and what you kind of discovered through that, was how much of that was predisposition that was already kind of built into you, or maybe even genetic, versus specifically the environment of the culture?
Yeah, and it definitely Mick had he was really good with his timing. Like he knew when to party and when it was time to work. And I think I always admired that with him. Like he would party harder than anybody, but it was at the right time. It was after the event, and he'd pick his moments, and he knew when it was work and when it was play. So he had a different kind of balance and a grip and a hold on things. And I think Kelly's experience too, with what he shared in the media, is he had different examples in his life that he worked out pretty quickly that leading that life don't equate to where he wants to go. So I had those examples around me, but I just um, wasn't willing to do the change. I would be ready for it, and I think it just you can't put an older head on young shoulders, and I think it was just a lived experience. And when I wanted, sick and tired of being sick and tired is a saying that you hear till it's painful enough to want to change. Nobody can do that for you, and I think it was yeah, just a lived experience that I was wanting things to be different for myself. So it's just like knowing, having a bit more understanding and maturity is like, it's not about being stronger. It's about actually surrendering and understanding that I'm powerless over this, and this stuff's bigger than me. And then I have to like be willing to grasp that maybe there is another way to do things. And I think being a competitive surfer and getting to the very top end of an event or being on the world tour, you have to have this self belief and qualities within you that you're so laser focused and back yourself to the point where it can be a detriment too, because learning and studying new ways, you have to kind of be open and trust other people. And so you've got this real asset and skill that will get you so far in a sense for one particular dream and goal, but at the same time you kind of have to shed that person, let that person go to be told otherwise. So it's kind of like this weird kind of double-edged sword. That was part of the journey as well. Just somebody else might know better than me, because you have to be so pig-headed and
Right.
to get to where you want to go, that fucking look out, I'm going all the way with this. But at the same time, that's kind of what got me into some of the messes by thinking that way.
That's fascinating. I hadn't considered that, because
Mm,
to really do it, you know, world title, multiple world titles, you have to be super focused on oneself and almost at the expense of all the relationships around you. But
yeah, selfish, like, yeah.
totally, there's no way to do it any other way. But it's interesting to hear you say that also you can't do it by yourself. You kind of have to rely on other people to get there. It's a weird
Yeah, so it's
conundrum.
for sure. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating in that sense for sure.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Gabe has had a support system around him to help him do it and allowed him to be selfish basically. And I feel like
Yeah, true.
Kelly similarly, Stephen Bell, there's a number of people.
Mm,
John in a very different way, like
yeah, true.
unbelievable community that he came from.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, it's a very fine line to walk.
yeah. It takes because like we mentioned earlier, it's so fleeting surfing that you need that support base around you to go. Even if that half an hour didn't go well for you, you're still a good person, and we love you, and it's going to be okay. And we've got, you know, come home to your beautiful family or the ones that love you, and it's going to be okay because it's a pretty yeah sole existence on the tour when things aren't going good.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Yeah,
now it's a little bit easier, I think, because people travel with their entourage and their family, even, so they're not just solo.
yeah. I saw Danny Wills did that really well when I was coming on the tour first. He travelled with his family, and then Parko too had a young family. I remember him we're in Brazil, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to have a kid," and and it was like, wow, like young 20s at the time, and it was pretty rad. But it worked really well for him, and I kind of look back now on that and go, wow, like he did that so well, the young family, and probably no doubt kept him grounded and had his purpose. And now that I'm a father of my daughter's 7 now, and I just feel like she grounds me so much, and I know my value and my place and who I am being her dad, and there's parts of me that I wish I had that when I was going for everything because it might have made things different. But it's a lot of acceptance around that, and you can't change things. It's been my journey. So, but yeah, I admire people like Danny Wills and Parker that did it that way and navigated it all so well and beautifully, and um, were able to do tour and family. And what a special experience for all of them.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, I really admire that.
Um, talking kind of getting into the recovery aspect of that next phase of your career, was there a specific rock bottom or at least a moment of realization where you felt like you needed to change your lifestyle?
Yeah, I remember like when Mundaka comp was on, it's like this tricky window for the swell to come in. Sometimes it would run and they get like 4 hours of comp time, and then like maybe it wouldn't run. It was a really tricky event to know if it was going to run or not. And we had partied the afternoon night before thinking that the comp wasn't going to be on for a couple of days. And anyways, we stayed up late till the early the next morning, and the swell had shifted a bit more west. It was getting into Mundaka and it wasn't firing, but it was enough that the comp was on. And I had a heat with Chris Ward, and he beat me. And I just remember coming in on my belly, just looking back up and just realizing that I'd lost that heat, and it's going to make it so much harder for me because the next I had to win pipe at that stage, which is a huge task. And I remember in that moment specifically just going, "Wow, this is what it's got to," because I promised myself I wouldn't do that. And I promised myself for however long that I wasn't going to keep doing that. And I just, in that moment, went, I have fucking done this again. I've let myself down. I've lied to myself. Um, so I remember that being a pivotal moment of like, oh, okay, I'm in a bad place right here. Like I don't have a grip on this. It was kind of a rock bottomy sort of a moment, and things, it took a while to sort of get myself into rehabilitation after that. A few more lessons and a bit more like research out in the field, you might want to say, to summarize it. Um, but yeah, I ended up in a residential rehab for 9 months out the back of Queensland in the hinterland. So that was my journey. Um, so there's kind of a few rock bottoms within there, but career wise, coming in from that heat of Mundaka, I realized, wow, this is not okay anymore for sure. Yeah.
Um, 9 months in rehab. Um, what did you learn from that experience, or what was then the shift in your realization or your worldview that you came out of rehab with?
I guess it was like learning to live a day at a time with not putting something in my body to change how I felt. Like it was just I'd worked out, okay, between doing the tour and getting results and feeling good or getting this high off competing, and so there's that side of it that was like built into me. But then it was also like if something come up for me, I wouldn't know how to navigate or feel things. So I'd kind of never actually really felt real feelings or dealt with anything and sat with myself for long enough to ride something out. I was just always moving and moving so fast and living this life of like, did the tour for 13 years straight and like flying off to this place to that place. And you'd leave that country behind and fly off. And it was like, never had to actually sit in myself and my own skin and just feel what was going on. I just hadn't. Just like this mouse on a little wheel, this freaking crazy existence. So it was about just slowing down, actually feeling things, understanding who I was, and learning skills and tools to deal with that, I guess, and unraveling kind of like layers of an onion kind of thing. Early days on, it was like a real kind of it's a three-headed thing, like a spiritual, physical, and mental disease, like addiction and stuff. So you can kind of like, if you don't deal with those three things, sooner or later it can come back to haunt you, kind of thing. So I could deal with the physical. I could get really fit, and I'd trick myself because I'd get off the drink or the drugs for 2-3 weeks and go, I've got this, I'm sweet, and I'd paddle here and I'd run there, but I hadn't really dealt with deep down stuff. And why did I want to? Where was the pain coming from? Hadn't really addressed that. So it was about learning, who I was deep down, and why did I want to keep going back to these choices and actually taking responsibility. So that's what rehab was about, was owning my part, like understanding, getting some distance from it all and having the fog clear enough to own my part in it, because I was just blaming everyone else and not owning, okay, what's Nathan's role in this? What part do I have to play? So rather than, there's a shift in that, and I think that needs to take place to empower change, and it's not possible unless you sit still for long enough. So it was essentially about just, yeah, pausing for a second and then letting stuff come up, really.
I mean, it makes sense that it would take 9 months to sit
Yeah.
through it and see what comes up, address that, sit through it some more. Like, it's a
Mm. Yeah,
process.
it was an intense environment too, because my journey was like 25 people in this community, and people were coming and going, and people were there for different reasons. It wasn't like a fancy flash rehabilitation either. It was a government run, like pretty full on, no frills. Like if you wanted recovery, it was there, but it was not going to be easy. It wasn't a day spa like retreat thing. It was pretty nuts. So dealing with other people, and there was structure and there was a set, a 9-month routine, and they know what they're doing there. And your first duty, for example, was like, and we spoke about it earlier, like getting off yourself, being of service. Like the first job you get when you go in there is doing everyone's laundry. And it's like they got pillow slips and you had to tick like pillows, sheets, doona cover, towels, whatever. And everyone from in the different rooms would tick, and you'd have to go and collect their laundry, do the wash, do their laundry for them, and then fold it up and take it back. So it's kind of, at the time, you're like, why the fuck am I doing this? But it's about getting off yourself, because it's so like insidious and selfish. And when you're in addiction, it's so much, it's just all about you, not
Feeling
about
good.
anybody else. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
so like, it's crazy. And all your decisions are based around that when you don't even realize it. And the ripple effect out is that everyone else is dealing with your bullshit. And so yeah, the first job's that, and then you progress, and eventually, like, I ended up driving the buses for the crew to get to meetings and appointments and stuff, being of service again. Another job has been in the kitchen, where you cook for the whole community, so you leave with some skills and sense of worth and giving back, and hey, preparing a meal and community and all these other amazing, cool things that you go through. But just very basic kind of, okay, I'm going, being from the world tour, traveling around the whole world, ping ponging around, getting paid by Rip Curl to surf and all this crazy. Now I'm on the bones of my ass in rehab, kind of waiting to get the bus to the next AA meeting kind of thing. And this community of like, wow, this is kind of not what I thought it was going to be. And I couldn't surf either. That was the thing. I couldn't surf
Oh,
for like
wow.
3 months, because that was another one of my things of like escaping, back. And not that they were against surfing, but you'd see people that come from other worlds and lives and careers, and jumping back into something is kind of like too early, too soon without changing was kind of maybe not the best decision. So it was just suggested that surfing be parked to the side for a bit. deal with, you know, what's going on here, and then we can revisit that. So it was like, and I think about 6 months into the program, and then you get leave and you kind of get weekend stuff, and you had to be all planned though. You couldn't just kind of leave and be off and just you're out there. It was kind of very structured, and I had some friends that owned a surf shop down the Sunshine Coast there, and I was able to go and get boards. They just let me borrow boards and surf. I get the train and then the bus to the beach. And then the Weir family, Damon Weir and his family, it's cool, classic, old, amazing family. Early days surfboard shapers and just rad family. Had the surf shop on the beach, would just let me sort of side door, go and pick a board, go surf, leave it back there, hang the wetties up and go back. Like, so blessed in that moment to start getting back into surfing. And but yeah, look back on it now, it's wild. Like, but the best thing that I ever done, you know. I'm like
Yeah.
13 years sober now, and so much has come back. And yeah, we could talk about things that happened after that, like different. No, I didn't get back on the tour, but probably had some of my biggest highs and best waves post rehab for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm
Well,
gonna,
what did you do for work when you got out?
work wise, I ended up getting on. It took some time because again, jumping back into something too soon wasn't advised. So I took a little bit of time just to kind of reintegrate back into life, I guess. And then I started working on wharfs. Yeah, there's like this opportunity to. Um, First one was when all the cars arrive into Australia. There's this port on the south coast, New South Wales, that all the brand new cars come in there, and so you might have 3,000 cars come in on a ship, and your job was to get up there, unlash the vehicles, and then drive them around back to like a holding yard, and they get distributed around the countryside. It was like 8, 10, 12-hour shifts of just getting on this ship, and they'd all be like mapped out, and then you'd have to like unlash them and then all drive the cars down, like 12 of you and a crew, and then you jump in a minivan all together and then go back up and do it again. It was just like this wild existence. But again, it was good for me, and you could make, you know, good money. And that was like a stepping stone to get like a maritime security card onto like legit wharfs in Sydney, which was kind of like my journey to get onto the wharfs in Sydney, which I did. It was like a Steve Door position, portside logistics, come alongside the cranes, and then the 40-foot and 20-foot containers on the back of like a semi, and then take it to the yard. So it was like totally different from surfing, but part of a crew. And you could pick your days off to surf, like, and it was a lots of like, I don't know, easy days where the wind would come up and things, and you'd kind of just be getting paid to kind of hang out, wait for the wind to change. So there's aspects of it that were pretty good for someone who had surfed. Um, yeah, it was good to be part of the like culture and that too in some ways.
I could see that. Yeah, being
Yeah.
part of a team and then also just working a certain number of hours, clocking out, not having to deal with it. That's kind
Yeah, it
of
was high drama too. It's pretty risky, like big accidents and like pretty nuts. And being out on the water too was sick. And but yeah, it was pretty like crazy environment too. It's just part of that I loved.
yeah,
Yeah,
fascinating.
yeah, it's
Did
cool.
did anybody recognize you from surfing?
Yeah, fair few people. Was it like in Sydney and DP World? There's lots of surfers and crew from around the industry, and yeah, it was fun, you know. But you just you get humbled pretty quick too. No one really cares if you're a surfer out there on the wharfs. Yeah, another reality check. It was just good for me to work. Okay, this is bang for buck what you can earn, and getting through the night. Like it was tough starting at 10 at night, finishing at 6 in the morning, but it was good. I hadn't really had a value like on dollar amount for earning. You know, I've gotten paid to surf most of my life, so it was good to have that aspect as well, humbling. And yeah, it was good to just know that there was more to me than my surfing as well, you know.
Totally.
Yeah,
Um, were you coaching during that time too, or when did you start surf coaching?
started coaching as well. Bit of a mix of different things. But yeah, started like experiences and adventures, and I set up a jet ski experience like step off initiative called the Surf Lab. It was kind of like come out with me for an hour or two or half day or full day, and I set up the whole experience, and we do step offs. And within that package was kind of, you could do yoga or wellness, healthy meals, do analysis, kind of like put together yoga meditation as well, and kind of come and hang with me. And depending on what you wanted to do, and I get Jason Childs to fly his drone and get really nice images. And so I did that for a while too, a couple of years, like just before COVID. Was I really enjoyed that as well. And again, being out on the water and helping people and seeing them get the best wave of their life was super special for sure. It was a bit dependent on conditions, and you can't always take the ski out, so there's a bit to it, but it was something that I could turn off and on, and also use my expertise. And again, like seeing people, how stoked they are, like getting a wave like that. And that was a lot of value in that too.
Can you tell me your introduction to the wellness part? Was yoga the introduction, or where did you discover the value of it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd always had fleeting moments of yoga in my life. I never had a strong practice or committed to something enough. But I think, yeah, a good buddy of mine, Duncan Peake, set up Power Living Yoga in Australia, and I got introduced to him through Takesh, another good buddy of mine, doing positive things, movement specialist. So I think I did my 200-hour yoga teacher training with Duncan Peake, and he wasn't this stereotypical kind of yogi looking guy. Like, he's a big like rugby player. He was in the Army SAS, and I just loved the way he went about life and what he stood for. And it's this big, burly, strong looking guy, but could bend and move and was super business savvy. And there was so much to admire about Duncan, and a family man, really good in business, and could do the splits. It was like crazy. So I kind of looked up to Duncan a lot, and then approached him. And then we did a yoga teacher training course down in Bondi at one of his studios, which started it. And then I did his second one, was like a limiting self-belief themed retreat in Bali. So I learned a lot there as well. And so it just started getting me thinking about different things, learning about myself more and how to be a man in the world and what to stand for, and who I want to be, and to inspire people. And yeah, just basically how I want to front up and show up in my day to day. And so I think Duncan was a big influence on me, and Tommy Carroll as well. Tom's been a huge influence for me. He was always always looked up to him in a surfing sense in his career, but never really deeply connected with him. You'd sort of be there with him, but not actually really connected. He's always moving so fast. Looking back on our interactions and in the circles that we're in, this one day at North Narrabeen, I just felt like he really was really with me, and he heard what I was saying, and I just connected on a deep level. And he didn't ever tell me what to do, but he said, like, if you want to, like, I could see the change in him. And he basically gave me the inside tip that if I wanted to, there was something in him that I wanted. If I wanted what he had, he could give me the roadmap. But he's never going to tell me what to do, but just explain what he did. And then I just started getting curious and asking more. And through his meditation and his guidance and getting clean and recovery, he's been a huge influence to me as well. Matt Granger as well. He's like 10 years older than me. He's set up Manly Surf School, and just where he's at in his life, like he's late 50s now. He's still packing. Like this last swell we had, like pulling him on 8.0s, and how he's gone navigating through life. Like, yeah, I've had these cool mentor examples that have kind of shown me the way of how to do it, and wanting this thirsty for like what they have. Yeah.
And that all becomes part of the coaching as well, right? I mean, it's all integrated. It's all kind of whole body coaching.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like this it's what we do outside of the water that really benefits us in the water. And you hear about the footy players when their off-field stuff's going well, or the tennis players when their time off the court's going well, that it transfers into their performance on the court or on the field. And I think it's the same for surfing. When it's a connected thing. When we feel good, we can have our best performances out there, and it transfers into better performance and having a good time and connecting ultimately. So they all complement each other, different aspects that you bring in, and you can kind of poach good ideas from here or there and bring it together as a collective. It's a lifestyle. It's not kind of like one or two things. It's like how we live and what we do and our day-to-day choices, and like all the little things turn into big things. And so it kind of gains momentum. Make this like this morning, doing a bit of movement, or if I get up and move my body rather than going straight to my phone, like it's pretty simple, but how that sets me up for the day. And then all of a sudden I'm probably more likely then to go and make another good decision rather than a shitty one. So then by the end of my day, if I've started with some good decisions, that ritual, then I'm off and running. Then look at that over a week or a month, and all of a sudden, so this is what I do now. Like it's a choice, and I feel so good within myself. Like, why would I want to do anything different? Like eliminating things. Like if it feels good for me, keep doing it. If it's not really serving me, we'll put a line through it. And I've got some things planned out now that I know that I've got to change, and it's a work in progress. But it definitely, like, if you're honest with yourself, brutally honest, and go, is this working for me? It's pretty clear. So it's like getting all the good things together and things that are positive that work for you, and then joining forces on that and bringing people in that can facilitate and have the same passion for it can be pretty powerful.
So was the Tavarua Wellness Retreat your concept?
It was actually, yeah. It was. I was kind of surprised that they hadn't had that model, or when you go there, that you couldn't really plug in deeply in a wellness sense. I mean, it's such a crazy special surf program, the resort and the waves, that nothing else matters, and they've done it so well that it doesn't need to be anything else. But I noticed that there's some untapped potential there of like being able to facilitate a wellness aspect to it, and it's an area that they hadn't really quite stepped into. So yeah, it was a good opportunity, and I went to Tavarua for the first time in 1995, and John Roseman was there. I got invited for this Tube Invitational comp, and I remember meeting Roseman that year, and so we've had a 30-year friendship, and so it was just, and they've seen my evolution as well through the good times and the bad times, and paddling out to Cloudbreak in the middle of the night and all the crazy times on tour. Like, they've witnessed me in that mode, and
I
they've
forgot
also
about that story.
yeah, so much. And then they've seen my transformation too, and how I live life now, and just matured in a sense, and sort of so I think that's been powerful. Them to go, hey, like, yeah, let's give Hedgey a chance to do this, and we believe in this as well, and it'll be really good for our resort and for our customers, and it's positive and healthy. So let's do this.
So explain it. What is the retreat?
The retreat's it's an immersion week of basically bringing together the team that surround me and how I've got to where I am today, encompassing what I do in the day-to-day, week to week, and putting it into a week on Tavarua. I think primarily it's the Tavarua program, where you go there and you get access to the best waves all around the island. So that doesn't change. So the best surf resort in the world, just as normal. And then you get this other opportunity to plug and play on these side wellness activities, depending on what the surf's doing. So, like, I don't want to take away from, like, we go to Tavarua to surf, and what they've got running there is the best in the world, and that's what I love about it. But then you also get the chance to learn some new skills that I'm passionate about, and to hopefully have longevity, and to keep you in the water for longer, and connections with other people, and hopefully by the time people have left that week, they've learned some cool new things, and to serve them in their lives too. So I mean, we're going to be learning surf apnea training with my buddy Augusto, like a little mini accreditation cert in the pool. Done some work with Augusto before. Some clients that I work for. Is really powerful and not over the top. It's just a really good introduction and intro into surf apnea training, and hopefully that transfers to, in the dream scenario, that if a swell comes at Cloudbreak, we've got some skills to deal with that and implement some change and some techniques to deal with hold downs and to be more confident riding waves of consequence. I think he's going to be a really awesome inclusion to the week that's not normally offered there on Tavarua. I'll be doing yoga and meditation with Tommy in the morning. Like Tom has a practice where he has a Vedic meditation in the morning and in the afternoon. So I think that'll be a really nice way to start our day and to connect, being on the island, then also deregulate in the afternoon and kind of take stock of the day and what we'd learnt. So the start of the day and the end of the day will be with Tommy Carroll, meditation. And then John Gannon, foundation training movement specialist. We've got Johnny on the island as well. I've got so much respect for John. He was Taj Burrow's trainer on the tour, so he knows about that sort of life as well. But he's his depth of knowledge on movement and how it facilitates sessions he's amazing. He can train anywhere and anyone, and he just reads the play really well. And I think the foundation training will keep our bodies feeling amazing and learning how to, getting into older stages of life, being able to move and put our bodies through what we want to keep doing is, that's what Johnny's going to bring to the table. Going to be yoga as well. Got yoga sessions happening. And then also Jacinta, one of the amazing chefs there, has kind of jazzed things up to put the meals on next level basis as well. So, it's going to be a bunch of like talk story as well, like different, to talk with John about the island and different swells and how it's evolved, and leaning in with Tom around performance and equipment. Tom's amazing. Talked about boards and equipment and why he chooses this and the other. And early days Tavarua and Fiji, like they used to come to Fiji and hide their boards on the Motu Island, just stash them over there and then come back for the next trip. Like just some crazy early day stories. And I hope that, for this group, that it's an annual thing and it grows and it gets better and better, and sense of community when we leave. And that's my hope for the week anyways.
Yeah, phenomenal. It looks like a phenomenal week. Like, I'm super impressed. Glad to see you do it. And it really feels, the culmination of all your work, but also at the best spot that you could possibly do it in the world. So it'd be amazing if you could do it yearly.
Yeah, I think it's, the first year, and it's just testing the waters. I feel like it's going to be a great year to learn a lot and to get the first one started. And I think, end of the day, it's going to be super positive, and don't feel like we can go wrong. It's going to be really special to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited, pumped.
With all that you've got invested in your health and wellness, do you feel like your best surfing is still ahead of you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I got this wave at Depot Bommy last year. Probably one of the biggest, best barrels I've ever had in my life. Definitely in Australia. Like I've had longer barrels, but this was the biggest, best wave I've had. And I was almost 40. I was like 40, 44, 45. So, and I sent it to Bob Hurley because Bob's a mate of mine. I was like, he's a super inspiring guy for me. I've always had a lot of respect with Bob, how successful he is, but how he's just remained so core and grounded, and he'll call you back. And he's just such a rad dude. And I sent it out to a few people that I really respect and was stoked on sending it to. And he was like, so this is the best wave of my life. And he kind of pulled me up and was like, not so sure of that. Your best waves, you could still get a better barrel than this. And it kind of got me thinking, yeah, right. Maybe he's right. It just kept me open, because like I'm not going to get better than this, but possibly. So let's see. You just never know. Like I think growing up, most of the guys retired at mid-30s. That was like considered old, So I had my performance in 2022. I was 43, and what Kelly and Shane Dorian and guys that are doing now is pretty mind blowing. So I don't see why not. Could have the best surfing days ahead. Maybe just not as many, but yeah.
True. Yeah. I mean, the Kelly pipe win right before he turned 50, I think it was, that was unreal. You know what I mean? So it's all a matter. The investment in your body is essential. You can't do it without being fit, but your ocean awareness and expertise grows so much, and you didn't have that in your 20s. So I think
Yeah.
that's where you end up, mitigating wipeouts, dodging, disaster, and then being able to apply it when the moment comes.
Yeah, you really work out what works for you and your strengths and yeah, letting different stuff go, and that transfers into moments of elite performances again. Like I'm seeing it play out here around town here, like Joel and Mick, like not as often or not as much, but when it
Right.
happens, it's still far superior just because of that wisdom and the experience and the wave IQ and those waves that are barreling that take a built upon experience like your Tahitis and stuff. Like it's the reefs don't change. They've been the same for millions of years. So that trust and the relationship with it can grow. So it's like, yeah, that'll never go away. I think that's why Kelly's such a threat still in the best waves on the tour when he wants to. So I still love seeing him because I know even though he's at the pointy end of his days surfing on the tour, I still know that the waves that he could get, still going to be mind blowing for that reason.
Well, totally agree. And then there's another thing I think about, which is when you are solely focused on surfing in your 20s, your surfing's a little less interesting. You may be at the peak of your athleticism, but somebody like John, who has all these different inputs in his life, sailing and family and all this, he may be taking time out of the water, not surfing on tour, but when he comes back, his surfing is somehow more dynamic and more interesting. And Kelly, I think, has always maintained some of that where he has worldly interests, and so his surfing was always a reflection of all of those things.
Yeah, it gives really good perspective and depth to it. And when you do get to go back and be in the ocean, ride waves, it's celebrated and it definitely has its purpose around, yeah, but it just brings something more to the table, doesn't it? It's a special thing. I think
Yeah.
when you're in your early 20s, that's all you know. But let me just reflect on my experience, like with Tahiti, that's what made it so special, is because of all the things that had led to that moment, which you just hard to describe or hard to. I knew paddling out there that meant more to me than anybody that was there. There's people going for final fives and stuff like that, but I knew that everything I'd been through in life is such a celebrated moment. You just can't get that until you're a bit older.
Right. Totally.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, can you think of the best surfing that you've ever seen?
Ooh. Um, Probably that early morning, Tahiti and Andy took that drop. I was out there that morning super early. And when he tail slides up and then does the stand up, like for that morning in real life, that was pretty psycho to be out there. We're all practicing early in the morning and seeing that play out live was pretty messed up for sure. I mean, so much. I've seen Ock at Bells, um, Mick at J Babe, just a lot of the early morning warm ups. So it's not even in the rush. You just seen it live and in the moment. Just, yeah, it's pretty awesome. But probably that wave from Andy was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's hard to argue against.
Yeah, yeah,
That's one for the record books, even on video.
yeah, for sure, definitely.
Was that the one I've heard him talk about it where he knew Bruce was in position, and then if he let Bruce go, he just
Yeah,
wasn't going to let Bruce go no matter what.
yeah, it was that wave. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Amazing. Um,
yeah.
where do you still want to travel?
Uh, I've been super fortunate to travel to where surfing's taken me some wild spots that I never would have thought that I'd get to travel to, like Galapagos Islands and the Bay of Bengal, India, Amsterdam. We surfed in Holland, Ireland, like some weird, wacky spots where you just kind of never would have thought that surfing's taken me there. So I want to go and surf Namibia. I haven't surfed that crazy left yet. Bit of a bucket list kind of spot somewhere, that wave. I haven't scored that. Um, but I also want to go back to Greenbush as well. I went there early days when there was no one there, and I haven't been back since. So it's kind of like I'm pretty psyched to get back to Greenbush. And it looks like I'm going to be getting back to Hawaii at the end of this year with the way things are playing out with the Challenger Series team that I've got Surfing Australia and the way the tour is back there. So that's exciting for me too, because I went to Hawaii for 25 years straight. My dad
Yeah.
and family took me there, and then I stay with Poncho Sullivan every year for as long as I can remember. I didn't miss a year for like 25 years. Sometimes I went twice a year, 3 times a year. So Hawaii's been a huge part of my life. So I'm really excited to get back to Hawaii. And my daughter's name, Summer Leilani, is inspired from all the trips to Tahiti and Sullivan family and going over there. So Hawaii is a special place in my heart. I haven't been back there for maybe 4 or 5 years now. So I'm really looking forward to getting back to Hawaii, and feels like a part of me there. So
It'd be amazing if you could
yeah,
bring her.
brother, for sure. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Greenbush, is that you got like, was it Surfer Magazine Barrel of the Year award or something back in the mid
Yeah.
2000s?
Yeah, Mick was making his film, Mick, myself, and Eugene. So it was kind of a side project when we were there filming. And yeah, Greenbush hadn't really been surfed too much before that. It was in a bit of an unknown spot and wave. So yeah, that was a crazy trip, and just yeah, I'd love to get back to that wave. It's super challenging, and
Did you win that award?
I did. Yeah,
Okay,
I won
that's
the
what I
Barrel of the
thought.
Year. Yeah, yeah, I
Was
won
it
the
part of
Barrel
the
of the Year.
Surfer Pole Awards?
It was, yeah, Surfer Pole Awards.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Oh, you got crazy memory, dude.
That was a sick one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a bit of emotion too, because like I've been on the boat with the natural footers too. They wanted to go to the rights, like rifles and these other spots, and I was like, "Fuck, let's get to the bush. Let's get." I kept hounding them about the bush, and we'd had a few days of crazy waves too. Like we were pretty surfed out, I remember. So I've kind of like boss hogged them to get to the bush, and we pulled up in that morning, and we must have pulled up in between sets. There was just a lull, and there wasn't much doing. And so I've just gone, fuck, I'm going to go out anyway and just get one. And we hadn't seen a set yet. And everyone was kind of eggy on me, sort of being there. Not eggy, but they were just like, thought I was tripping, basically.
Yeah.
And so the boat pulls around, and Shagger wasn't even going to film like from the land. He's like, I'm just going to sit up top of the boat. If Hog gets one, I'll just film it from up the top of the boat. Like, fuck, whatever. Just let him get out there. I was out there on my own. I think Matty Griggs was pit boss Rip Curl too, and he paddled out with me as well. He's like, I'll come out with you. Anyway, that thing comes. So then when I pull off and I give the fucking rah like that, I was like, fucking told you. It's like, get out of here. What are you doing? Like, I got the nuts one right in front of him on the boat. It was sick.
That is epic.
I didn't really work that. I didn't know about that inside bit. We didn't really know the wave profile, because obviously it's been years of like photos and footage now, but it was early. Like I think I went there once before on the pelagic boat with Luke Egan's trip that Surfing World did. It was like Hoyo and Rizal and Benji and Aquila, Jake Patterson, Louis Egan. Did I say Rizal already? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was this cool magazine trip that we did, and we basically sworn to secrecy that trip because Jody Perry, skipper, had found it supposedly. Well, he kept it under wraps, and we had just like signed we wouldn't talk to anyone about it. And yeah, that was the first time I surfed. That was the second time with the Rip Curl trip, so I sort of knew like, fuck, this is a sick wave.
Gotcha.
So I'm pretty frothing to get back there, brother.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whose boards are you riding nowadays? Are you on Sharp Eye mainly?
Yeah, I'm riding Sharp Eyes. Yeah, awesome. Through the board lab here in Oz, they threw me a bone to come ride for them. And yeah, super passionate about that. A lot of the people that I'm coaching and mentoring ride Sharp Eyes as well, like Morgs in particular. So it's pretty cool because we ride the same dims. He's quite stocky, thick, chunky little guy, little powerhouse weapon. So we ride the same volume and same board. So it's pretty cool that we can relate and can mentor him in that space. What do you think about this board, that board? And also they do Eric Arakawa's there as well. So I met Eric, through my career years and years ago in Hawaii, let me leave my boards under his house, and always trusted Eric's boards. So we've kind of got this really amazing setup where short boards wise, Sharp Eyes, and then, the vision is to get Morgs onto the tour, and then we look at different quivers for different waves look at, longer lengths and boards that are going to serve him well on that tour. So, yeah, production's amazing there, and they're an amazing team in there. So it feels like a family, and really stoked on that support there. Yeah, they're awesome guys there.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, that was going to be my final question, but now I have a question about Morgan too.
yeah, it's sick.
Well, like he had such a stellar performance that first year and then
Yeah,
fell off, obviously. I don't feel like surfing is the reason that he fell off. And I don't feel like his lack of surfing is the reason he hasn't made it back. He has all the talent in the world. What's missing?
I think it's some mental resilience and some deep belief and backing himself. There's some things playing out or have played out that haven't served him well. I think the energy in the tent that he got onto the tour with, not knowing, not fear of losing anything, just that energy that got him to where he is, it kind of changed to then protecting something, and then that reflected in a lot of his decision making and kind of unraveled rather than just getting after it. So I think, Rip Curl contract, you finish in the top five, it's a big contract, and you buy a house, and it's like far out from not on that tour anymore. It's like just different pressures, and I think it all came so thick and fast that he kind of hasn't had that foundation of belief and the depth of the journey. It kind of went bang and then bang down. So it's sort of like just settling, building the foundation back up, getting rock solid, and then, coming from that space and just reminding him of that. Because it's a clear thing when he's operating from a place of fear as opposed to attacking. It's very different. So just being supporting him in that way and encouraging him, and he's beaten some big names already this year. He's taken down a lot of scalps and got some really big scores from the world's best judges. So I really hope it can transfer onto the Challenger Series for him. Yeah.
Look, I hope so too. I'm glad to hear you have an answer to the question because as much as I've watched surfing for decades, a part of me
Mm,
still feels that there's too much left up to chance. Like
yeah.
you see the round of 80 to start the US Open last week and you're just like 80, what? And then super qualified. You see Julian Wilson groveling it
Yeah.
out and losing in round 1 and you're like
Mm,
he could win on any other day. It's just there's too many
yeah.
variables at play. And so I
Mhm.
worry with guys like Morg that is what gets they take it personally or they do think that they are the reason that they ended up in that situation when from my perspective it's just like no, the system is kind of set up in a way that random chance often takes out the most qualified winner.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you hope over a whole season and a year that the cream will rise to the top, and it's great that they've put a couple extra events on, like Pipe and another one at Newey at the end of the year. So I feel like Morgan's surfing is there. He's definitely out surfing a lot of people on that tour. He just needs to get on a few bit better waves and shake off any insecurities in there. And if he just comes out in attack mode, and I've noticed that if he kind of doesn't really, not that he doesn't respect someone, but if he has a bit of a bee in the bonnet around someone, he'll go out and like fully just go out and slit throats and just want to attack. So it's kind of like getting him in that ideal space of attack mode and just really backing himself. So that's what hopefully in my corner I can rub off on him a little bit and yeah, get him where he deserves to be.
That's your job as a coach. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got that world experience and that self-belief and all that sort of stuff. So I guess that's the real job more than it is teaching them how to surf, right?
Yeah, the technical and tactical side's part of it. It's important, but the mentoring and having someone in the corner that believes in him is the biggest thing. So yeah, it's an honor that he's trusted me to be there with him. So
Who
yeah.
who else? Who else do you have in the roster?
Oh, I've got an amazing little squad actually. I've got Callum Robson, yeah, and I've got Kais King. I've got Sierra Kerr. I've got Oscar Berry. You know Oscar?
Yep.
Charlie Stokes, young girl from Queensland as well. There's a couple of like um, people that have just got onto the tour, and then there's some others that are like got a lot more experience and worldly knowledge too. I've been doing some stuff with Jacob Wilcox and also Liam O'Brien. They kind of came in the fold after the cut, so I wouldn't say I'm their full time guy, but I've helped them on their approach transitioning to the Challenger Series and reframing. It's the opportunity series. We're not calling it Challenger Series anymore.
I like it.
Yeah, it's like freaking let's rebrand this because it's just another opportunity. It's another chapter. It's more growth. Yeah, it is a test, but we'll grow through this and get back better. So
Smart.
yeah,
So are you going to be traveling? Like if these guys make the tour, would you be traveling with them too, or does it remain to be
we'll
seen?
see. We'll see. It's I'm blessed that we've got a good depth of coaches at Surfing Australia, and I'll see how it plays out. I want to
Yeah,
inject at the key moments. I'll be saving myself up for when it really matters. So yeah, I'll be injected when need be. So we'll see.
cool.
My daughter's summer and spending time with her is the biggest priority right now, and then surfing and work comes second to that. So if
Good,
it doesn't clash with time with my daughter, I'll be
good.
there.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah,
Well,
brother.
I like you have felt so grateful to see like Shane Dorian's latest phase of his career, Tom Carroll
Yeah.
as well. So I'm gonna start including your name in those conversations of guys who have had like the late run at it and better phase of career even in the early run. So
What an honor. Thank you.
glad to see it, man.
In that company. Thanks for the time today, brother. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Cool.
Have fun in Tavarua too.
Appreciate it.
All right,
Check it,
see ya.
brother.
Surf Splendor.